While other music artists would die to get opportunities within the music industry, we also have a group of music artists who have a unique talent of messing things up for themselves, and that's in one way or another. Today, I have compiled a comprehensive list of top 10 South African music artists who have at some point sabotaged their own careers. Whether it was due to personal, professional, emotional, smart or foolish reasons, this list will surprise you because some of the listings are not what you think. My name is Rodney and this is Rodney's Ridiculous Stories. Number 10. Bongani Fassie, son to the Queen of African pop music. Bongani Fassie was at some point the South African golden boy, and many expected Bongani to become a world-renowned superstar just like his overwhelmingly talented late mother Brenda Fassie. To understand how Bongani eventually sabotaged his own music career, we have to go back to where it started. Bongani's music career began shortly after the untimely death of what we can argue to be the biggest music artist to have ever come from South Africa, his mother Brenda Fassie. Brenda Fassie was to African music fans equivalent to what Michael Jackson was to American fans. She was more than just a music artist. She was a heroine in her own right and a strong political activist who contributed significantly towards shaping the image of Nelson Mandela. Unfortunately, Brenda died after unknowingly using laced substances, according to South African History Online. After his mother's untimely demise, Bongani was determined to walk her tracks and ensure that through him, his only son, her legacy will continue. Bongani, who had just turned 19 years old, did not know much about the music industry, and because their family's elders were back home in the small town Langa located in Cape Town, he had to depend on those who were guiding his mother within the music industry, of which Bongani would later find out was a terrible mistake. With his magnetic enthusiasm, Bongani decided he would become a hip-hop producer and worked on his skills, which would later amount to real talent. During this time, Bongani was still battling with his mother's passing, and through song he found solace. Music was like therapy to Bongani. He was signed under the same label his mother had been working under, which is known as Ghetto Rough, and the label formed a group named Josie, which is the nickname of the city of Johannesburg in South Africa. The group Josie was as if it came from a hip-hop fictional story because it was made up of 3 individuals who were undoubtedly destined for greatness. These artists included rapper Dales, who had helped South African hip-hop gain recognition from neighboring countries as he was one of the first American-sounding rappers in the country, which appealed to the minority and thus bringing more value to their record label Ghetto Rough. The second artist within the group Josie was no other than Ishmael. Ishmael was one of the biggest South African artists at the time, with a unique ability to transcend and weave himself in between multiple genres such as Afro soul, gospel, Kwaito, and all genres that basically were vocalist friendly. What made Ishmael even more sought after and too big of a star was his past relationship with one of the most beautiful black women to have ever walked the earth, Ms. Puff Johnson. Clearly Ishmael was a force to be reckoned with, but the group did not come complete without their naturally gifted producer, Bongani Fassie.
The whole truth and nothing else but the truth, so help me God. We on fire. For real.
Bongani Fassie was featured by fellow group member Dales on a song I still call the best hip-hop song in South Africa to date, which was titled We On Fire. This song set the streets ablaze and the commercial South African hip-hop scene was born. The group Josie would later go on to release a song called Gotta Keep It Going, and please believe me when I say that Dales, Ishmael and Bongani were truly tapped into something. Through this success, Bongani would see himself living the dream. A success that came with beautiful women, exotic places they could now access, but of course, it always comes with temptation, and Bongani would find himself battling with substance abuse. That's also a time when Bongani was mature enough to begin to ask himself questions such as, who is getting my mother's money? Why can't I sample my mother's music without being questioned and stopped? These questions would then see Bongani spiral further down a rabbit hole, and we would later learn that Bongani had a fallout with their record label boss Lens of Ghetto Rough. Bongani was accused of conspiracy to steal music equipment that supposedly belonged to his mother, but that did not happen, as one of the members of the group, Josie, if not an associate called Muggs, managed to snitch on Bongani about this plan before it was executed. Bongani was also having disagreements and disputes with his late mother's former manager, Tshego, who was one controversial figure involved in numerous conspiracies, such as that of his son's involvement in the assassination of the former best goalkeeper Zoe Maiwa. To prove his dominance within the dark South African underground crime syndicate, Tshego had publicly made it known that he owns Brenda Fassie. Imagine a person saying he owns your late mother. Well, I guess he has 9 lives. This statement was made after Tshego disputed a tell-all Brenda Fassie documentary from happening, which gives a great think of the idea that maybe Tshego has something to hide. Bongani today is recognized as once was superstar, and I decided to put him on this list because if he stayed away from the same substance abuse that had already took away from him, he would have managed to become powerful enough to fight Tshego for his mother's creative work and music rights, or he could have gotten the opportunity to buy it all back instead of blowing all that money on illegal substances. This puts him at number 10. Number 9, Bonji Dube. It seems like celebrity kids can't seem to stay off the bad boys and bad girls lists. I would have loved to make Bonji Dube number 1, but she is one of those people that don't win your heart, but rather win your heart and soul. This woman helped us survive near-death experiences like heartbreaks, disappointments, and even Nigerian online scams by listening to her music. Bonji Dube is the daughter of late reggae legend Lucky Dube. Lucky Dube is literally the Bob Marley of Africa. Bonji Dube is literally a lifesaver. Go to her inactive Instagram now and view comments on her last photo upload, which is older than 13 years, and you will be shocked to see that almost every week there's someone thanking her for a song called Go Around. Bonji Dube's life is like a Hollywood movie on steroids. This lady has faced a lot and I don't even know where to start. Bonji Dube's legendary father, Lucky Dube, was murdered senselessly in the year 2007 in a hit which was covered up as a failed hijacking, and that was the last time South Africa had its own reggae giant. As devastating as this loss was for the country, we can only imagine the impact it had on his children. We know of 3 children that he left behind, Cooley, DK and Bonji Dube. Of the 3 Dubes, only Bonji seems quite different. Bonji Dube strikes me as one of those people who have strong beliefs that sometimes get in their way. There's little known about Bonji Dube. She prefers to be a mysterious figure, and that pains her fans so much that they become obsessed with her. After the widespread success of the song Go Around, Bonji Dube would find herself in a conflict that handicapped her career. Bonji Dube was still the talk of the town and fans were highly anticipating her album, but unfortunately, Bonji's hard drive crashed while in the process of completing her album, which was said to be on its 5th song, and this tore Bonji apart. She made headlines in newspapers after getting into a verbal fight with her music producer for the album, which meant that it would be delayed, and this was a time when her career was still fragile from the overwhelming competition in South Africa's biggest music genre, house music. Although Bonji Dube's song was the biggest throughout the year of its release in 2009, she was still competing alongside huge fellow stars such as Monique Bingham, who had the song Take Me to My Love, and many more. This situation was so bad that even after attempting to work with another producer, Bonji still faced challenges and was dubbed difficult to work with. The producers mainly complained about her attitude, and you can imagine at the time there was a lot of competition. This made it easy for the producers to just give up on her, and as a result, her album was put on hold. She'd later be involved in an accident where she got electrocuted on stage, and just a few years later she found herself fearing for her own life when a businessman stalker was becoming too much, to the point that he even sent her nude photos of himself, and he was following her around. Number 8, Ma 7. Ma 7, a local vernacular rap talent who once called himself South Africa's Tupac, is a local gangster rapper who has managed to influence many of the South African youth through his powerful lyricism and humorous concepts. Ma 7 rose to nationwide prominence through his songs that were popular for controversial reasons. This artist came into the Kasi rap scene after the likes of South African hip-hop icon Pro Kid and Ma 7 was determined to take over. The Kasi rap is an underground scene that is hyper-competitive, in which only the talented survive and only the hardest thrive. That is the reason why today, none of the top 10 South African hip-hop artists are respected, and that is due to a lack of competition. To get an idea of how less respected the top 10 artists in South African hip-hop are, imagine if they were in the WWE but all of their matches are normal pin or submission type of matches and you would have to watch these stars for more than a decade. That would be boring to watch, it would lack excitement and just be somewhat primitive. That translates exactly to how South Africa's top 10 hip-hop artists are viewed, boring, lacking creativity and all sounding the same in some way. But Ma 7 was cut from a different cloth. He comes from a battle rap scene, and he knows how to not only put on a show, but he also knows how to win a crowd. Ma 7 came up with tshego, who has seen industry success while Ma 7 continues to struggle. Although tshego was the most popular Kasi rapper at the time, Ma 7 would out-rap him on featured songs, and that led tshego to grow envy of his friend, and their relationship from that point has become as fake as Chinese gold can be. Ma 7's behavior and attitude would see him become stagnant although he had gathered a large following. There's some kind of an invisible barrier between Ma 7 and commercial success. One of the ways he and fellow rappers such as tshego boxed themselves was through calling mainstream hip-hop gay, and of course, not only is it viewed as disrespectful, but it also highlighted a lack of growth and maturity from these artists. Ma 7 was caught in some legal trouble which involved a woman quite early in his career. He would later portray himself as a hardhead who doesn't want to be told what to do, and this pushed a lot of potential investors away because although Ma 7 had the talent part figured out, he still needed a boost in terms of public persona and branding. But nobody could help him because he seemingly knows better than anyone else. Ma 7 would trend later on after he released a song that expressed his disgust and hate for his imaginary gay little brother. The song became popular and left a sour taste in many people's mouths, some expressing that he was somewhat misusing his influence to promote hate against the LGBT community, who were being killed brutally at the time in South Africa. Ma 7 would later become the talk of the town when a local television show called Pab Money, meaning Food Money, aired an episode in which Ma 7 was exposed by his baby mama for not paying child support. Talk about drama. Ma 7 signed an undisclosed deal with a former group member of a local popular group which was known as Tear Gas, tshego. Tshego signed Ma 7 and they had a music video which definitely helped Ma 7 elevate his brand. But it looks like the damage done will take a lot more until Ma 7 can be considered a marketable rap artist, and this puts him at number 8. Number 7, Babes Wodumo. Roaring from the KwaZulu-Natal province, Babes Wodumo rose to fame after being discovered by the late GQM genre music pioneer known as Mampintsha. Babes Wodumo was originally a dancer, and when she and Mampintsha crossed paths, they could not be separated. Babes Wodumo claimed the gum genre after titling her debut album Chum Queen, and its hit single War Lolo would even get a BET Music Awards nomination. Babes, being born and bred in the city of Durban, grew up in a vibrant rave-like music scene. Durban is the city with the most violence, murders, adult crimes and drug crimes. To make this city even more dangerous, besides snakes like vipers and black mambas, Durban has the highest rate of HIV infections in the country. Babe's success of course came with some issues, mainly in regard to her relationship with Mampintsha. You see, the thing about you female artists having boyfriends as your managers is that you will be enslaved sooner or later. An example of this can be Cardi B. Cardi B is stuck with Offset because he knows how to count her money. This means that Offset can go enjoy his life and smash weaker rappers such as Blueface's girlfriends and still keep his relationship with Cardi B intact. Babes and Mom Pincher would get into fights over cheating. They got a BET Music Awards nomination and their management, her boyfriend's record label West Inc. missed the important email and as a result, application for visa was made late and she unfortunately missed her opportunity to make an appearance at the BET Awards. But the nomination was enough to see Babes Wodumo being featured on Kendrick Lamar's Black Panther album, and even though it was great news, fans were disappointed by her contribution, making remarks such as she did not sound like she was hungry and took the feature lightly. A couple of years later, Babes would find herself in verbal fights with fellow music artists, and many of them being petty fights where she accused such artists as McCarthy for trying to steal her husband. This bad publicity saw Babes losing fans and getting less media coverage. She blew it all up when she went on Instagram Live during a fight with her husband Mom Pincher, and in the video, Mom Pincher is caught in 4K. No, I'm lying, he was caught in 720p, giving Babes what South Africans call a hot clop, meaning a hot slap. That video did not sit well with the gender-based violence movement and feminists of that time in South Africa, leading a list of celebrities to choose sides, and of which many chose Babes' side because she was seen as a victim in the abuse. Many celebrities and even foundations offered support, but Babes would flip the tables on them by getting back with Mom Pincher and throwing shade on those who have a problem with them. This made South Africans view her as a double standard, and that's when the spotlight moved from Babes Wodumo until the untimely death of her husband. Rest in peace, Shimora. Number 6. Cher Bershit. The less said about this next artist, the better. Cher Bershit is a young rapper from the rural province of Limpopo. This rapper rose to fame recently post a jail released, and he caught the attention of South African music fans through his many tattoos and tendency of performing shirtless. Usually, you would expect a person confident enough to perform in front of thousands of people shirtless, to have some muscles, abs and a well-trimmed six-pack, but Cher Bershit prefers to keep a six-pack under his car seat. This rapper is one of the TikTokers that shot to fame through video content, and he had many people talking. Although he has some controversial songs, some of his songs actually sound good and have that vibe you can only get from Limpopo, making him very unique. Cher Bershit's music career is still in its infancy stage, even though he is widely recognized in South Africa, and that makes his success fragile, but Cher Bershit doesn't seem to shy away from conflicts. Cher Bershit is known for publicly calling out his critics on social media, especially those from his hometown of Limpopo, and that is quite disappointing because he has the power to unite those artists, and together, they have the potential to lead and dictate the South African music scene. His controversy, though not enough to self-sabotage, instead it does the opposite by gathering him much-needed attention, which converts to music sales or streams. Cher Bershit's sabotage is through his irresponsible use of alcohol. Cher Bershit abuses alcohol so much that I believe he forces his drivers to down the remainder bottles after a music performance, because the countless accidents he has been involved in showed irresponsibility, and unfortunately, just 2 days ago he was involved in one that claimed his 9-year-old daughter's life. May God bless her soul. Number 5. Lady Zamar. Lady Zamar is arguably one of the most talented writers in the South African music industry. I had even assumed that, just like Beyoncé and Chris Brown, she sat with a whole army of writers in the studio to make a song that has less than 20 words. Little did I know that this lady not only writes her own songs, but she sings them so good that you cannot forget them. One of the early songs that saw Lady Zamar rise to fame is one titled Mamelodi. This song is named after a place in the city of Pretoria. This place is known for its violence and high crime rate, but Lady Zamar renewed its image through that song, and that is just how beautiful of a singer she is. Pretoria is one of the cities you want to stay away from, but Lady Zamar makes it sound as if its streets are made up of cotton candy and it snows icing sugar and Mamelodi, which is sometimes called mums. Lady Zamar's vocal and writing talent attracted many A-list DJs such as Prince KB, and she saw huge commercial success, followed by ADS TV Song of the Year award, which proved that this lady was a force to be reckoned with. Lady Zamar self-sabotaged by publicizing her overt accusations against fellow superstar singer Shava. This was supposed to be handled professionally by both Lady Zamar and Shava, away from the eyes of social media so that justice can take its course, but Lady Zamar would go on a social media to make allegations that Shava ordered her in a hotel somewhere in the Limpopo province. This makes me think that the Limpopo province has some kind of an angry spirit because things that take place there are just out of the ordinary, but let me drink my water. Lady Zamar and the accused were like a power couple. They had almost equivalent star power, and when these allegations about Shava were made, fans had to pick sides. Many fans were left divided, and we can all agree that there's a possibility that some poor guy got himself a beating at a bar over an argument of whether Shava was innocent or if Lady Zamar was truly a victim of the biggest crime against women. This would later be known as one of the worst artist cancellation plot failures in the history of South African music because Shava was not found guilty for the crime, thus earning Lady Zamar the number 5 spot. Number 4, Tshego. Tshego, one of the most talented male artists from South Africa. This artist is unique and is in his own lane. Tshego is one of those artists who just want to let the music speak for itself. He is the Pink Panther, and don't think pink means weak because his music is powerful. This non-intimidating looking young fella is a beast in the music studio. Something about Tshego just makes him very unique, and no, it's not the pink hair. This artist is a very intelligent young man who is in love with his art, and he is a true symbol of resilience. I admire such artists because they have so much belief in themselves that to others it seems as if they are delusional. Tshego, although young, is an old soul and has so much experience that he is a young legend in his own right. Tsego's songs were out there, but he wasn't really given much attention. He was like an underdog. But one song called Hennessy let South Africa know that he was not here to play. He is awesome and has star power. He is a complete package that makes an artist great and marketable. He finished them off with a song titled No Ties, and he was a gone boy. Tshego has it all figured out, but his substance abuse led to a fallout with his then record label Family Tree, which was the most prominent in the hip-hop space at the time of his departure. While these rumors were confirmed to be true, there's also a possibility that the fallout was due to a disagreement, as Tshego was and still is maturing and wants to take ownership of his own music unless the money is right. This puts Tshego at number 4. Number 3 is South Africa's MVP A-Reece. This mega talent comes from the unlikely city of Pretoria, and his ambitious personality ironically caught the interest of a notorious South African record label, Ambitious Entertainment, known for exploiting music artists and using their political connections to have an advantage over other record labels. So, if you ask me, of course all their artists can be said to have had a great start, and that means that all their artists who eventually failed did not capitalize. A-Reece, just like all other artists from the Ambitious Entertainment, was given a huge platform to take advantage of, and that included SABC, also known as the South African Broadcasting Channel, which is responsible for 3 of the major television channels in the country. ETV, which is the wealthiest private television channel in the country, and by SABC we also include 19 South African radio stations. A-Reece stood out from the rest of the camp at Ambitious Records due to his unique style and American accent. At the time, he sounded like the freshest thing in South African hip-hop, and given the huge platform he was provided with, A-Reece gave music fans his best body of work to date, an album titled Paradise. The album was amazing, with its lead single Paradise setting the streets ablaze. A-Reece's success became the most explosive as he received numerous awards, got major deals that only a selected few can ever get in their respective music careers, even after the record label dropped him. But A-Reece seems to struggle with communication. A-Reece has deliberately made himself an unreachable and unapproachable artist. Some will argue that it's for his brand and it serves to emphasize his isolated persona, but the truth is that it limits his reach and opportunities, especially because he is an independent artist. This recently has got fans concerned after Rick Ross producer Black Metaphor expressed that he tried to reach out to the artist for another collaboration and got ignored. So clearly A-Reece is the type that laughs with you today and acts weird tomorrow. This earns him a warm spot at number 3. Number 2, Emtee. If you haven't watched our recent video about Emtee, please do take your time to check it out. If you watched the recent video we did about Emtee, then you know that this is one special rap music talent. Emtee comes from the same record label as A-Reece, Ambitious Entertainment. Emtee, just like A-Reece, was afforded a huge platform and had a great head start with his music career. Emtee, dubbed the Golden Boy, is truly a spontaneous event within South African hip-hop. Emtee has a personality like no others. He comes from the iconic Soweto township and spent most of his late teenage years staying in Johannesburg's town area known as Hillbrow. Hillbrow is notorious for such crimes as pimping of women and dealing illegal substances. Exposed to all this, Emtee at some point found himself having to deal in order to sustain himself, thus gaining him mutual respect from local gangsters and kingpins. Emtee's unique hip-hop vocals and songs expressing a Soweto boy's struggles won the hearts of many South Africans, and this afforded him a comfortable lane in which he was alone and unlike the equivalent to artists at the time, namely Nasty C and A-Reece. Emtee was not compared to any other artist as he was a unique artist with his own unique style, sound and approach. This saw him drop one of South Africa's hip-hop anthems, Roll Up, which would later feature Nigerian artist Wizkid on a remix. Emtee's success and influence from those American music artists he looked up to led him to substance abuse, and this negatively impacted his reputation. South Africa would later express its concerns after Emtee collapsed on stage during a performance. Emtee found himself in hot water again after making a mistake and showing his private part live on Instagram. This bad publicity pushed away potential business opportunities and saw Emtee miss out on such things as sponsorships, which he rarely got until now recently. But that cannot make up for the missed opportunities, especially before South African hip-hop fell from being the #1 genre at the time, therefore earning Emtee a comfortable spot at number 2. Number 1, J Marley. J Marley is South African hip-hop's spoiled brat. The less said about this young fella, the better. J Marley is one of those people who will take you down a rabbit hole with them and most likely leave you there. This music artist is by far a true liability. J Marley's song titled Hype was released around 2017, and it proved that he had something new to offer the South African hip-hop scene. What set J Marley apart was his unique rap singing flow. In his music videos he always seems to be with his friends, and because J Marley is Caucasian while his friends are African, the South African hip-hop scene welcomed him with open arms. J Marley came into the industry as a mysterious figure. He used such things as dollar bill props and highly advanced Photoshop and video editing skills to carefully shape his image, resulting in an American-looking young rap artist. From getting featured in numerous songs by then big stars in the game to getting an invitation to freestyle at a cypher hosted by American radio personality, journalist and former rapper Sway Calloway, J Marley was on the rise to take over SA hip-hop. Fans started picking up red flags when it comes to J Marley after he decided to take his side hustle, which is dealing opioid medications such as codeine and benzodiazepine medications such as the popular Xanax, which are illegal to sell without a prescription, which explains why J Marley calls himself the hood pharmacist. As weird as it sounds, it goes to show that some of these artists do not care about their fans, and if J Marley did care about his fans, who ranged from ages 12 years old all the way to 40 years old, J Marley would later prove to be an ill-disciplined pharmacist, as he was apparently getting high on his own stuff, and this became apparent when his public social media behavior changed. J Marley's success made him even more egocentric, and he began to believe that the world revolved around him. J. Molly would post indirect messages for fans to contact him if they want to buy illegal substances such as codeine, also known as lean or purple syrup, forcing concerned parents to stop their children from following the influence of this artist. This artist's mysterious character came to light when he sat down with South African hip-hop veteran and mogul, Sleeker. When J. Molly sat down with Sleeker, it was his first interview, in which he expressed his financial struggles, the struggles of being an independent artist, and from that interview onwards, J. Molly was not a mysterious character. As J. Molly was earning himself a good income through music, he would show off his money, his rented penthouse, expensive clothing, and many more things which he later claimed were fake or props in the embarrassment of being exposed for not having as much money as he would like his fans to believe. This became apparent when J. Molly's addiction was getting the best of him. He would sell carelessly and desperately on his social media pages before he himself had a breakdown which was triggered by that addiction. J. Molly would overdose numerous times. He made several attempts to take his own life, and even recently going to the point of faking an overdose of a full bottle of Xanax while live on Instagram. Talk about drama. Let us pray for these music artists to be blessed and guided by the Holy Spirit, as some of them are on paths that can potentially lead to destruction, while others have made mistakes that they can always learn from and do better. I hope you enjoyed today's offering, and if you found value in learning from the mistakes and misunderstandings of others, do like the video and help us reach more people who love hearing unique stories. I'll see you next time on Rodney's Ridiculous Stories.